Hey guys. All right. So, as you know, as you are well aware, I am a Slate Digital loyal customer and enthusiast. Card up in the top. If you did not see my review of the Slate Digital All Access Pass, go watch that video and then you can become a customer too. But listen, one of the things I love the most about the All Access Pass is the fact that they continuously release new plugins. They've released several new plugins over the past couple months, and I want to review some of them. Now, I don't use all of them. I'm not going to go in depth and try to review stuff that I don't actively use. Not that they're bad, it's just not my cup of tea or it doesn't suit what I'm doing. But there are a few of them that I use faithfully that I want to go over. And the first one that I'm going to deal with here is called FG Dynamics. So we're going to jump into that. Obviously, I can't do that sitting here right now. So watch the intro. We're going to cue the intro, watch that. And then when you come back, I'll be over there and we can talk about FG Dynamics. All right, intro. Let's get it. Cue the intro.
McCrae music.
All right, guys, before we take a look at FG Dynamics, I want to take a look at you smashing that like button. Hit like, turn on the notifications, subscribe, right? So that way, as these videos are coming out, you know about it and you can watch them and you don't have to catch up with them 6 and 10 months and, 2 years later, right? You want to see that stuff now, okay? All right, let's jump on over here into Luna. We are going to take a look at FG Dynamics, which is a part of the virtual mix rack. So let's go ahead and pull up our virtual mix rack. That's not the virtual mix rack. There it is. All right, and I've already got, so to show you that I actually use this, I've already got this as a part of my default channel strip here. I'm emulating an SSL 4000G right now. I know it doesn't say SSL, but if you've used one and just looking at it like Slate, we all know. We all know what we're emulating here, right? So this is the SSL. I've got the EQ here. We're not going to talk about that. And then here is FG Dynamics. This is emulating, again, the dynamic section of a channel on the SSL console. Okay, now let's take a quick listen to what I've got going on in this session real quick, and then we'll look at FG Dynamics. I just got some drums here. Let's listen. All right, these are just some raw drums. Obviously, there's lots of work that needs to be done on them, and I'm going to do that work more so in another video where I'll talk specifically about mixing live drums and some of the things that I like to do. All right, but let's talk about what I'm going to use FG Dynamics to do. So when we talk about dynamics, if we look at what's going on in here, we've got two sections. These are the two things that we would have in any dynamics section of pretty much any console. We've got a compressor up here, and we've got a gate/expansion section down here. Now, the one thing we don't have in here are filters. I'm kind of okay with that because I would use the filter section over here for the on the EQ, but sometimes you'll see like a filter in here as well. Okay. Now we will go over in depth. I'll talk about, and I'm going to do a whole separate series on like what is compression, what is a gate, right? We'll get deeper into all that stuff. So if you're not really well versed in those things, just kind of hold on for that, or I'm sure you can kind of research and look up on some other channels, but you don't want to do that. You want to wait for me to talk about it. What am I saying? Don't ever watch another YouTube channel. I'm kidding. There's lots of great information out there. But let's just talk about what I would use these to do. And we're going to start with the gate. All right. So a gate, very simple, right? I'm going to set a level. Any sound that is below that level is not going to be heard. When sound hits that's above that level or threshold, the gate's going to open so we can hear the sound, and then it's going to close again once it's no longer above that level. Okay, that is a gate. An expander, which as you see here, there's an expansion button right here, would basically flip that and make it so that I can hear things that are below a level, all right, as opposed to the gate, which is doing the opposite. So let's talk about what I would use a gate for here. If I play this, Let's just solo this kick. Okay, obviously there's other stuff we're hearing right there other than the kick, right? Which is something that happens with live drums. It's called bleed, right? So I'm hearing the snare, I'm hearing some hi-hat stuff. I want to try to get that stuff out of there to kind of tighten my drums up, make it sound a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to use the gate to do that. Let's talk about the specific things that we have here in the gate section. For the FG Dynamic, we have a threshold. This is the level at which it's going to open the gate, right? It has to be above that particular level to open the gate. I've got a range. This is how aggressive the gate is going to be, right? The more I turn it up, the stronger the gate is going to be, right? Keep things closed. I have a button here to switch this from a gate to an expander. I have the release. This is how quickly the gate is going to close again after it has been opened. And then here we have an attack knob here, or button here, where I can switch to a faster attack, meaning the gate would be triggered a lot quicker. All right. So let's just kind of play this. And I'm going to turn up the strength of my gate here. I want it to be a nice strong gate. So I'll turn that up. And let's just kind of play around with our threshold until we start just hearing the kick. Let's give it a go. Okay, so we can see the gate being applied. You can see it in this channel here. So now that I stop, you can see the gate is closed, right? So we can see that we would view the activity of the gate on this this signal area right here is the gate. Okay, so let's keep going. That's pretty decent. There's still a little bit of snare coming through there, but that's much better than this. Turn back on. Let's see what happens if we play around with the fast attack. Not going to be much difference there. Let's play around with the release. So gave it a quicker release. It's kind of getting rid of that little snare artifact too. That's good. I mean, it's a gate, guys. It's a gate. It's doing what a gate does. It's opening when the signal comes through. It's closing when it does not. And it's doing what I need it to do. This is perfect. I love it. All right. Love it. And other gates can be kind of tricky. They don't really sometimes do what you need them to do. They have all these new gates with all these new bells and whistles and different things. Give me a good old-fashioned stock gate. Right? It opens and closes. That's all I needed to do. All right. So that's pretty cool. Okay, now let's take a look at the compression section. So this is going to help me deal with dynamic range. Let's talk about the components that are here. We'll start from the top. We have the, we can switch from a regular knee to a hard knee, which would just kind of change the curve of the compression as how it's being applied. We have the threshold, which is, of course, again, going to be the level at which the compression will be applied. There is no attack knob. I don't really care for that too much. I like to be able to control the attack. There's some different funky things you can do with that. This just does not have that. So if you need to control attack, this is not the compressor for you. We do have a fast attack where we can go from a regular to a faster attack to be a little bit more aggressive with how quickly the compression is being applied. But there is no attack knob, okay? All right, then over on the right side here, we have our ratio. This is how much attenuation is going to take place as it goes over the threshold, right? Or how much it's going to turn the signal down. We have a linear release button here, which is basically going to apply a different style of compression. I'll turn it on in a little bit and you'll see it'll just kind of change the nature of the compressor. And then we have a release knob, which is how quickly, of course, it is going to release the compression. All right. Another thing that we do not see here is a makeup gain knob. I would kind of like that. The reason that they don't have that is because it has an auto makeup gain where as we adjust the threshold, it is automatically adjusting the gain to compensate behind the scenes. Again, if you have to have a makeup knob, this is not the compressor for you. A makeup gain knob, this is not the compressor for you. Okay. Now the one thing I do like is we can do some parallel compression down here with the mix knob, right? So we are able to come through here and we are able, if we need to, if it's too aggressive and we want to kind of dial it back some, but we kind of like where things are set, we can use this mix knob to do a little parallel compression if we want to. But let's enough of me rambling on here. Let's take a look at how this works. So I'm going to leave the ratio where it is. I'm going to leave the knee and all this stuff where it is for now. Let's just start playing with the threshold. We're going to see compression applied in this signal area on the left, the yellow to the red knobs over here. Let's give it a go. All right, so I'm starting to see compression applied. Let's be a little bit more aggressive and see what it sounds like. So we can see it making it a little bit more punchy. Let's play around with the knee and with the attack and the linear release, and then I'll talk about the release as well. Let's do a hard knee. So you can see it's getting more aggressive with a hard knee. It's changing the sound of the kick, right? You see that? Here's the hard knee. Regular knee. All right, so you want to be careful with that, right? It's changing the character of it, and I don't want to lose the fullness of it. Now, obviously, in real life, I would be doing this within the context of the whole mix. So maybe the hard knee might give me what I want, but we're just doing this right here just to see kind of what the FG dynamic is doing. Let's look at a fast attack. Whoa, that's really squashing it. Definitely don't want that. I'll go with the hard knee. I actually kind of like it. I think I'll go back off a little bit. How about we switch to a linear release? Okay, just changes the nature of the compressor. It's a little bit more. It's kind of changing. You can see it's actually lessening the compression that's being done here. See what's happening when I turn it off? All right. Then we have the release. Typically, and we might not really hear it that much with a kick, but typically, especially with a vocal, if you do a faster release, it helps to bring the vocal forward in the mix, right? Or the sound, whatever it is, forward in the mix. If we want it to kind of move back into the mix a little bit, we would use a longer release time. You can hear it a little bit here with the release, but not much with the kick. Can hear just a little bit. All right, but it's a compressor. It's doing what I want it to do, and what I want it to do, what I typically use this for, which is why it's in this initial chain, is I use this to control dynamic range. I don't really want to use this to add a ton of character to it. I really just want to use this to just kind of set my limit almost and just control my dynamic range. And then I like to use other compressors, depending on what it is that I'm dealing with, to add character and, change the sound of it, right? So this is doing what I want it to do. Let's listen to the whole thing with it engaged, and then I'll disengage it, and we can see. It's in, it's out. And then I can play around with this mix knob here. Right? So this is all the way in. If I just want to blend it. Now, that's not something I would typically do. That's usually something I would do if I'm just using the compressor. I typically wouldn't want to do a parallel gate. Although, I mean, maybe there might be some use for that. I can't think of one, but I typically would use that more so if I'm just using the compressor. And then, of course, we have our overall output. If we do want to do a little bit of manual makeup gain, now, we could kind of use that to do that. All right. And that is the FG dynamics, right? So again, nice, simple, clean dynamics. Gate, expander, compressor. It's no muss, no fuss, no bells and whistles. It's just going to do what we need it to do. All right, guys. FG Dynamics, really cool. I love it for what it is. It does what I need it to do, right? Leave some comments in the comment section. and let me know how you feel about it. Ask any questions that you might have there, and I would say give it a try, right? If you have, the beautiful thing is, if you are an All Access Pass subscriber, you already have it. You just probably didn't know it was there. So you got to go into your virtual mix rack, go throw that FG Dynamics on some stuff, and see what it does. All right. I want to talk about some of the other newer plugins in some future videos, so be on the lookout for that. All right. And I'll talk to you guys next time. All right. Peace.